Henry Olsen, the 1st of August 2018, at Henry Olsen PPC 3 minutes. We have the open versus closed dichotomy, so elegantly laid out by Peter Franklin in his series of articles, In America Too. We just call it something different. As Hillary Clinton, rather less elegantly, put it when comparing herself with Donald Trump, it is the forward versus backward split. On both sides of the Atlantic, though, the argument is identical. The views of the educated, urban few represent the future, while the less educated, rural or town-based many are pining for the past. It is standard political framing designed to marginalize one's political adversaries. The positioning presumes the primacy of a certain set of values, those belonging to the open. To be open is to be open-minded. It is to be open towards new places, new cultures, and new experiences that are not part of the American tradition. It is to be open to ethnic cuisine, say, or valuing foreign travel over domestic tourism. It is broadly accepting of free trade or large-scale immigration. And most contentiously, more so in America than in Britain, it refers to valuing non-traditional sexual partnerships, behaviors, or identities as highly as the marital, man-woman relationship. To be for these things is to be open, to be suspicious or opposed to them is to be closed. But how do things look from the other side of the fence? How do things look to those deemed to have closed minds, those thought to be on the wrong side of the argument? Well, the defenders of traditional sexual behavior say that they, in fact, are the ones who are open to real human flourishing. They are closed only to the social challenges of unwed motherhood, to the creation of broken families through divorce, and to the declining birth rates that social subsidy and the honoring of non-traditional norms often bring. Similarly, those suspicious of mass migration could also say they are open to strong communities built on shared values. They are closed only to the dissolution of such communities and closed to the local authorities' insistence they suppress their values or safety in order to make the newcomers feel more secure. To not treat their concerns as having equal weight is to be closed to them. It's hard to get more closed than to call these people deplorables, as Mrs. Clinton did. Traditional Christianity is one of the things most strongly disfavored by the open few in America, where the hypocrisy of the opens is particularly clear, is on the subject of religion. Traditional Christianity is one of the things most strongly disfavored by the open few in America. Non-belief is much higher among people who live in large metropolitan areas, especially in places like Seattle and San Francisco, which are home to the industries touted as the archetypes of the new economy. This non-belief is not neutral in its politics. Over two-thirds of those who practice no religion voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. These voters hold a remarkably cold view of traditional Christians. The cross-partisan voter study group, Summer 2017 poll asked respondents to rate how they feel about selected groups on a 100-point scale, 0 being very cold, and 100 being very warm. There were 42% of Clinton voters who rated evangelical Christians between 0 and 24. The total rose to 46% of people who said they were very liberal. This is 60% higher than the number of Trump voters who gave immigrants, or gays and lesbians, similar scores, and more than 4 times higher than the number of Trump voters who said they felt this coldly towards blacks or Hispanics. Yet it is the Trump voters who are labeled as racist, homophobic, bigoted, and sexist, while the Clinton voters are open to moving forward. Tens of millions of Americans think going forward into the future Clinton and her coalition want would push them backwards. Tens of millions of Americans think going forward into Clinton's future would push them backwards. Traditional Christians wonder whether they would be allowed to practice their faith, or even express their views on sexual morality in public. Factory workers wonder if there will be any good jobs left as manufacturing goes overseas or is made unprofitable by climate change-focused regulations and practices. These people have heard nothing yet to suggest that those on the open side of the debate are open to their views of the good life. Inevitably, these voters are increasingly proving closed to Clinton and her ilk and very open to anyone who vocally takes their side, hence, Trump. That's the trouble with such binary political classifications and rhetoric. They can exaggerate and intensify honest disagreements. Winston Churchill famously overreached with incendiary words in 1945, when he said Labour would have to set up some form of Gestapo if it won the election. Politicians ratchet up the rhetoric and leave no room for nuance. Anything to win the argument. But it's precisely that refusal to understand human motivation that has brought us to this political precipice. Open versus closed, forward versus backward, both are merely one side's partisan characterization of our current political debate. What is really at stake, though, is the type of society we will build together, and what place, if any, traditional values, social roles, and jobs will have in it. Those who genuinely desire an open system should think deeply about these questions, rather than presuming that theirs are the values, jobs, and preferences which are the only ones worth empowering and honoring. For it is by being closed to other possibilities that they are opening the door to something else that could be much worse.